Futurist Jim Carroll. Listen, somebody was asking me about a little thing I went live with last week where I was talking about, these are the headlines you're going to see some point in the future. Every day you're seeing stock market volatility and talk of recession and all this really depressing stuff. And somebody asked me, well, what's the gloomiest, doomiest group that you've ever seen? So I'm going to tell you the little story, but just to refresh what I've been talking about. This is a chart I'm going to be using over in Switzerland next week, where I'm doing a keynote for a whole bunch of senior executives around this issue. Organizations that focus on opportunity in periods of economic uncertainty and challenge are proven to be winners. I mean, they've seen greater returns on their investment during a recession, and after the recession, they see even better performance. So the key message is you've got to be innovating right now. You can't hold back from pursuing the future. This is an example of companies that actually started up and achieved great success over the long term by starting up in a period of an economic downturn. And I mean, I've seen this over and over and over again. When the dot-com bust happened, the folks were saying that's it for technology. There's no more technology yet to come. That was in 2002. And after that, we saw the arrival of YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and Facebook and Tesla and, Airbnb and Uber and, all these tech companies, which are, absolutely changing industries. The thing is, it's stupid to think that when you have an economic downturn that you just turn off your innovation engines and don't focus on the future. So what's the doomiest, gloomiest thing I've ever found myself in? Well, here it's December 2008. We've just had the global economic meltdown on Wall Street, and things are reverberating around the world. Auto companies are on the verge of bankruptcy. Everybody's in an absolute period of doom and gloom. And a big global consulting firm brought me into an event in Miami, December 2008. I had the chief financial officers and the chief information officers, technology folks, for most of the world's largest life and insurance, property and casualty insurance companies in the room. And they brought me in to talk about the future and talk about opportunity and what would come next. And you got to understand the context in this room. I mean, these folks were doomy and gloomy, and it was absolutely, sort of depressing talking to them because, I mean, we were seeing, the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers and financial firms were collapsing. And the thing was, the mindset of these folks in the room was that, this is going to be a prolonged downturn and we're going to just have to cost cut and scale back and not focus on opportunity and not focus on what comes next. And my message was nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, right now is the time to double down on opportunity, double down on innovation, fire up your creativity engines, do a lot more. And I can look back at these companies now and I can see where some of these major global insurance companies, they got that message. They did a lot to align to the trends we saw unfold in the insurance industry in the next 10 years. Predictive analytics, underwriting policies based upon real-time medical and driving information, the acceleration of hyperconnectivity and all kinds of new business models, the acceleration of consumer expectations and the dominance of mobile with the acquisition and interaction channel in the world of insurance. I mean, there were so many trends that unfolded that it was just a period of staggering opportunity from 2009 up until today and continuing beyond today. But some of the folks in the room didn't get the message, and they, went into this doomy, gloomy funk. And we're not going to innovate. We're going to cost cut. We're going to pull back on spending, and we're going to ride this thing out. That is the stupidest thing you can do during a period of economic uncertainty. And it's been proven time and time again. And this is part of the message I'm going to be carrying into my keynote in Switzerland next week. And it's part of the message I'm going to be carrying into a number of CEO and senior executive leadership meetings through the rest of the fall. A recession is a great time to innovate, great time to focus on the future. Never forget that. And I'm going to replay you a clip, which I shared from an event that I did a few months after this particular doomy and gloomy event in Miami, where I'm on stage with Burger King's Global Franchise Conference. Or actually, this was Yum Brands. So Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, KFC, the fast food industry. And I was talking to them about opportunities that unfold during recessionary times. Watch this clip because this still resonates in a very powerful way. It's one of the most watched clips on my website today. Recessions? Innovate. Focus on the future. Don't be stupid. Don't be dumb. It's not a time for cutbacks. It's a time to double down on what comes next. Futurist Jim Carroll. Take the message to heart. Give this a watch.
And I think the big question for everybody in the room is, when do we begin to innovate? Do we begin, once we're out of this economic challenge? Do we begin once we're comfortable that we're through the difficult times that we're seeing around the world? Or do we make the conscious decision right now each and every one of us, that we are going to focus on the future from this point on. We're going to innovate and be ready for when we see that headline. I was talking at one event in October as the meltdown was beginning to occur, and the CEO was on stage, and part of his message was, look, given what's happening, we have three choices. Number one, we can panic. Number two, we can do nothing. Or number three, we can continue to innovate, change, and adapt. You know what I like in what we're going through this period of time? I call it the 7 stages of economic grief. When you lose a loved one, you go through a bereavement process. You go through the stages of grief. You go through the anger stage. You go through the denial phase. And eventually, after a period of time, you get to the acceptance stage. You think about the rate at which these developments unfolded. I think a lot of us, for the last several months, we've been in the absolute shock phase. We're looking at our investments. We're in the anger stage. We're looking at our investments. We're in the denial stage. And what is happening within a lot of organizations, we're all like, in North American phrase, we're like deer in the headlights. We're standing here frozen. We don't know what to do next. We turn on CNN and it is a constant bombardment of negative news. When do we innovate? We have to make a conscious decision right now. And that's why you're having this conference right now. To focus on growth, to focus on future, to focus on opportunity. It's a conscious decision to move aggressively right into the acceptance stage, and we're going to start innovating for the future because we know we will see that economic recovery headline at some point in time in the future because we are going to be part of the people who are going to build the economic recovery. You notice what Intel has done? Intel has made the conscious decision that they are going to invest $7 billion in building new plant infrastructure, building new chip plant infrastructure, because their conscious decision is we're going to build for growth. We're going to make the conscious decision that we are going to be a driver of that growth.